Welcome to the Business Building Boutique podcast for new life coaches. If you are a newly certified coach who's trying to figure out how to grow your business, you're in the right spot. Join me each week to learn simple business growth strategies along with step-by-step marketing tips to get you seen by clients in your niche. I'm going to be your guide. I'll tell you what to do so you can feel confident in your business. And here's the truth, ladies. You can build your dream coaching business without paid ads and without a fancy sales funnel. So if that sounds interesting and you're ready to get more paid clients, then let's get started. Welcome to today's podcast. This is going to be a different kind of podcast. I had the opportunity recently to be interviewed by a fellow coach, Jill Wright. Jill is the money coach, and our interview was so fun. I was interviewed for her podcast, and we had such a great conversation that I actually wanted to be able to reshare the interview. Her podcast is called Easy Money, and so I want you to go over and listen to her too. But I'm resharing the interview that Jill did with me because I think there was so many really great key takeaways that you guys are going to want to hear about. When Jill coaches women about money, she really helps clients who feel insecure about their finances, about their capability to earn money in their coaching business, and also about how they feel about managing money. Lots of women we talk about have some stories about money, about how they've managed money or how they haven't managed money, and we talk about that. But one of the fun parts of this interview, about halfway through, is Jill asked me to actually coach her on the copy that she has basically on her website. I wasn't looking at her website, but on the copy that she uses in her marketing. So I actually start asking questions to Jill about her clients' needs, about the issues that they have over money, over their desire to make more money, over their thoughts about making more money. And I talked to her about how to expose the problem. It's a good lesson for you guys when you think about your marketing copy, whether it would be on your website or whether it would be on a sales page or on social media or wherever. I talk about how you speak to your clients, about poking at the problem, exposing the problem. How does Jill present to her clients their thoughts about making more money? She has to really poke at the problem, say the things that they're not even aware that they thought about money. She has to help them understand what it could look like if they actually could figure out how to make money. She talks to him about managing money and about letting go of, I wish I did this way, and also I should be, right? She helps them create a new story about money. And so we talked about what would it look like for clients, coaching clients, to be able to claim a goal. And maybe it doesn't have to be to make $100,000, you guys. Maybe it just has to be, I want to make enough money in my coaching business to be able to go to retreats, to be able to hire coaches, to be able to be in a community with women. And so we talk about painting that picture to give your client the awareness that they need to be able to grow their business. Because she helps coaches build their business in a different way than I do. So I want you to listen to this podcast. It is really a fun podcast. Jill is really a great human being. She's working on some great work with her clients. And gosh, she's a friend. We had a good time catching up, and I think you're going to enjoy the interview. So make sure you follow Jill the Money Coach. Again, her podcast is Easy Money, and you can find her at jillwrightcoaching.com. And of course, she's got some great freebies. We'll link all of that in the show notes. All right, and on to the interview.
Well, welcome, Debbie. I am so glad to finally have you on Easy Money Podcast. I'm so excited to get to chat and have a great conversation with you today about building your business.
Oh, thank you, Jill. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, glad to be invited.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. I always read the formal bio, but me personally, I like to hear a little bit more about the person. So tell us who Debbie is on a day-to-day basis. What would we see if we lived with you or hung around you?
Oh my word. Well, the first thing is that I'm a worker. So I am learning how to be on vacation, and I'm learning how to work less is what I'm doing. So it really is true that that's been kind of my thing that I'm excited about. I also, though, just became a grandmother, which is pretty fun. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the new thing in my life. And if anybody coaches with me, they also know that I have two dogs that are barking occasionally. So hopefully they won't interrupt us. But that's a little bit about me.
I love it. Congratulations. That's good timing. If you're working on not being so much of a worker, being a grandma is probably a good way to bridge that gap, right?
Well, yeah, I know that all of us have moments in our life where we think, I'm going to do something different. And it's so interesting how one little person can come into the world who's so valued, but she can come into the world. And I am thinking, like, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to do it really fast because I'm going to show her how to do it. And I'm going to show her how to work less, right? And how to have really make an impact in the world. It's interesting how I was already thinking that, but now it's like kind of elevated. Like, no, I'm going
Yeah.
to show this little girl that her grandmother can do it, that her grandmother did this thing so it does inspire you in a different way.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, that is so awesome. I love the goal of making $1 million, but I also love the goal of showing her that it's possible. You gotta love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at the incredible opportunity that we all have, and Jill, you have, and it doesn't matter what niche somebody is in, we have an incredible opportunity to have hugely successful businesses at home in our own schedule. And we all, no matter what the niche is, we're making such a difference in the world.
Yeah.
Like I get all emotional about what coaching does for people. It's such the transformation. And I always talk about like there's a trickle down effect because what I do in my coaching and mine is business coaching, but what I have learned from coaching and when I get coached and when I become better, I'm better mother for my daughter and she becomes different and she's better for her daughter.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter whether it's weight loss coaching or whatever it is, we're all affecting so many people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you get better at one thing, you get better at everything.
Yeah.
When you feel better about yourself, when you're more confident in whatever you're doing, whether it's your spiritual life or your relationships or your career or your business, when we feel better and more confident and more capable at that, then we become more capable at everything we do and every role that we show up.
I have to tell you something funny. When I went to life coach school, I've been in business for 23 years in my own business, but I also have a couple of businesses, with my husband. And I think I'm a happy, optimistic, positive person. And my daughter and I have a great relationship. But after I went to life coach school, which I never talked to him about coaching I don't coach my daughter or my husband. I was just up here in my office doing my own thing. She said, Mom, you're a different person. And I was like, what do you mean I'm a different person? And she's like, I can't really explain it, but you're just a different person. Like the way that you move through the world is different. And she was so astounded by that she decided to become a life coach. Now she's just took certification, not to sell coaching, but because she was like, if that did that for you, I want to be somebody who has all those same tools too. So you never know what coaching is going to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. So, when it comes to coaching your clients, when it comes to being a business coach, when it comes to impacting these new business owners, these new coaches,
Mhm.
what are you really passionate about?
So my coaching is different than most of the business coaches. Maybe not all of them, but I really am strategy. I was always basically a consultant. Now they call them coaches, but I was always teaching people marketing, messaging, branding. My biggest challenge as I was growing my own business was as I kept thinking, just like many of you guys do, it's like, just tell me what to do. If somebody could just give me some clarity, I don't care if you're right or wrong, but just give me some direction. And that was super frustrating for me. And I know that it cost me a lot of time and effort trying to get things figured out. So I've always had a business where I told people what to do. I mean, I'm not 100% right, but that's really the business I have today. I tell people, here's what you should do, here's how you should do it, and here's why you should do it so that when you leave my coaching, you'll always know what to do.
Yeah. And I love that you own that because, in our community, it's like, no coach on the action line, which
Yes.
I'm like, I think there's always a place for coaching on the action line. It just depends on the type of client that you're serving. It depends on what their objective is. It depends on what they want help with. And so I love that you give the people who want to know how a place to go.
Yeah, it's interesting because what I find in my coaching is that sometimes when I tell people how to do something and they have that, no matter what it is, we've talked, you and I talked a little bit about technology, about email marketing, about selling, about any of those things. What I find is when they know how to do something and they've gotten like all their how to questions and some confusion solved, their thoughts change. Like it's a little bit
Mm,
different. Like then their thoughts really do fuel their business because it's like I solved the dilemma of I'm not sure if it's the right thing, and at least they have confirmation. Yeah, you're on the right track. Then they start thinking in a really strong way, and then they can grow their business. And I realize some people don't need that, and some people do. So
yeah. Yeah. So it clears the runway
yeah,
of the confusion, the I don't know how, the I don't know where to start.
yeah.
You're like, here you go, boom, boom, boom,
Mhm.
and off you go. You're ready for takeoff, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about before we started recording about the branding piece. So let's get back a little bit back into that because I really want people to hear all that you had to say about that because I love the direction that you were heading when we were talking before. So go into that a little bit, like how you think about branding and how you help your clients brand themselves.
Yeah, sure. I'm very excited about branding. People come to me and they say, "Well, I already have a brand. I already have a logo and maybe I even have my colors." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I'm not going to make you change that." Although interestingly enough, a lot of times I call it expanding your brand. People will do that, but my branding and I want to start with you as an individual. And I think this is important when we talk about coaching. And I know there's a lot of niches and there's plenty of clients for all of us. But when we talk about, let's say, weight loss coaching, not picking on the weight loss coaches, but everybody could be a weight loss coach, but why would somebody want to hire you? And we're, as individual coaches, people are hiring us. We are the brand of the business. We are the person. And so when I take people through personal branding, it's almost like we are deciding from their future self, their successful coach. I say, how do you want to be seen? How do you want to be perceived? That could be the office setup that people see you as. That could be the way that you show up. How do you want your reputation? Like, what do you want people to say about you? I have very specific things that I've decided. I want people to say, oh my gosh, Debbie was so helpful. She helped me more than I ever expected. And she was so available. Like that's an intentional choice of mine that's the same way that I help you with your personal branding. We have fun. We do Pinterest boards and some fun things.
Mm,
But to me, that's the cornerstone of where we start and we do the strength finders test I really help you see why knowing those strengths is important. And let's lean into those in your business. So it's almost like you're designing your business, or, to use what Brooke Castillo is working on right now, the reinvention. It's
um,
so cool because you can start your business and you can decide today how you want to be seen in the world. You can decide where your reputation is starting today, like
yeah.
intentionally. So that's really like you get to decide what you want to put on. People joke with me about my red lipstick, and I'm like, oh no, that's the power lipstick. I
Yeah.
put that on and I go to work. So that's what the personal branding is. And then the business branding, the key part, let me talk about that for just a minute, is that once we get you clear on your brand identity and who it is you want to speak to, when you have those few pieces together of branding and your colors and your fonts and some of those basic things we all know, when we get that set up, then all the marketing pieces that I help you put together, they all have a very cohesive look. I call that curb appeal.
Mm.
Like your curb appeal is whatever you have on your Instagram, what you're like, you get a drive by, like we're a shopping center. They're on the highway, literally scrolling through whatever. We want to be like, get them to stop so that at least your stuff looks really pulled together and polished. So that's kind of what I talk about branding.
Oh, that's good. Well, just out of curiosity, because because I told you before you came on, I like to do these more of as a conversation. And so sometimes conversations take a little detour. And so I want to take a little
Let's
detour.
take a detour. Let's do it.
I want to know your strengths finder, your top five.
Well, number one is learner, which, and let me
Oh,
tell you, here's what I tell you guys. If, for those of you that have taken the Strength Finder test, I want you to take the test and then I want you to look and see how they apply to your business. Because it's like when you take the Strength Finder test, Jill, maybe you can put a link to the book in your show notes.
the strength finder book?
Yeah, the Strength Finder
Yeah.
book, because when you take that test, it takes like 20 minutes. You have to buy a new book because you have to have a code. Probably you can do it online now. But it's like it tells you what you already knew, but you didn't know it. And you're like,
Yeah.
of course it's learner. Like mine's like learner and responsibility and achiever, ideation. I mean, it fits me. I was like, oh, actually, I am a great coach for business. A learner is that I'm always on what is coming next. I know. The downside to that, though, and this is why I always have people do both, is the downside to that is I had to constrain. I only work with one coach. I only take one program. I only read one book. Like I cannot do all the things. I have to constrain myself because that much learning is not useful. Like you have to implement. So anyway, you must have taken the Strength Finder test too, huh?
Yeah, my top one is ideation.
Mhm.
Responsibility is also number two
Yeah.
for me. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
But
okay.
some of the top ones, relator, I think that might be five or
Yeah.
six. Belief, I think is up there in the top 10. Connectedness.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm sort of a idea generator for sure. Learner is way down for me, and achiever is not that high either, but relator, a lot of the blue ones,
Yeah.
the relationship ones are high for me. So I have a lot of blue, and I guess that's the color I paint with. I've heard some people say is the blue. So yeah, very relationship driven. Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's fun.
idea driven.
Uh-huh.
Intellectual is also high for me. So I'm a thinker.
So the idea thing for both of us is high, and that is so valuable because you're helping people with their business too. That
Yeah.
is so valuable to be able to generate ideas and like on the fly, you're creating like somebody's telling you, like, I'm stuck on this, or I don't know where to find the next client or something, and you can come up with an idea, and so can I. The downside to that is, and this is why I think the strengths is so good, is that I have to manage not giving too many ideas.
Yes.
Like I get so excited about things for people.
I love brainstorming.
Yeah, like I can like roll them over with ideas and then they
Yeah.
leave overwhelmed. And that of course
Yeah.
is never my intention.
Right. Yeah. I have that same challenge. It's so fun to see. I mean, I know when we first connected, I was like, I don't know, I just felt so connected to you.
Great.
And I just felt like we had some similar sort of ways of thinking
Mhm.
that I just love. And I love hanging out with you because I'm always like fascinated by how fast your brain moves.
You know that when it's good and when it's bad, Jill, you just pointed out a bad, how fast my brain moves. And I have to work on that. Like slow down, Debbie, for the people
Yeah.
who are
Yeah.
listening to you.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're such a good resource. So yeah, when you have that dialed in, you're like firing on all eight cylinders,
Yes.
and you're like just giving them every single thing they need. And that is what I find so awesome about you is you just like I've never come across yet, in any of our conversations where you didn't have an answer for something.
So the beautiful thing, you guys that are listening to this, though, is when you lean into what you're good at, and that was the clear thing for me, is like, when I came to coaching, life coach school, and they were like, you can't be an A-line coach. For just a second, I was like, what am I going to be? And then it was like, well, no, that's the only thing I know my whole entire career. I'll make value in that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
right, you can make value and find a place and take your special gifts and show up as a coach that owns it and become
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I've been really trying to drill into people. That's not a pleasant visual, is it?
It's true though. Like,
It's like,
break their brain so
the
they understand.
breakthroughs that we have, we're like, you guys got to listen. You
Yeah.
got to listen up, because what I've learned is
Yeah.
exactly the things that sometimes tend to hold us back. Once we decide to lean into them, those are the things that make us successful. And so that's just what you were talking about. I mean, because I can see another coach that might have said, oh, well, I can't do that. That's the wrong way. But having your own back and leaning into that and saying, okay, well, this is what I want to do because this is what I'm good at. How can I make it work for me? Is the question that we really need to answer, not what is the right way, but how do I be myself? How do I lean into what I love doing and what I'm really good at? And how do I make that work and bring me success?
Yeah. So the one thing I want to add to that I've been thinking a lot about is when we talk about niches, and that's basically what we're talking about right here, whatever it is that you could lean into, a key factor that's been on my mind that I've been helping my clients with is, and as I discuss niche with them, is like, okay, you can do anything you want as long as it's money making. Like, pick a niche. I always refer to it as like that they don't just need a Band-Aid, that they really are bleeding and that they really are going to pay for coaching for it. Because I want people to make money and I want people to be successful. I want them to make a difference in the world. So niche choice, you could be anything, but if you want to make money in a faster amount of time, I say, like, if you want to take the long road, you can pick any niche and it might take a while and you might have to sell at a lower price and it's a slow road, or we can shift your niche just slightly and maybe make it so that they are bleeding a little bit more. Their problem is a little bit bigger and there's a little bit more urgency to hire a coach. So money-making niches, guys, if you're listening, question yourself, do I have a niche that, and don't go change your niche, just change your message just a little bit, please.
Okay.
Yeah, just change your message slightly so people can see why they need help with coaching.
Okay. I don't want to put you on the spot. Yeah. So feel free to say, no, I'm not willing to do that right now. But hey, are you willing to coach me on my niche?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But remember, it's not a model coach. I'm not doing a model on your coaching.
Oh, no. No, I want you to be 100%
Yeah.
Debbie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I tell
absolutely.
It
no question. No question about it. Okay. So one of the things that I've struggled with is that I call myself a money coach. Mm-hmm. And I know in my heart of hearts that probably 90% of coaches need me. Mm-hmm. Let's just put it that way. Maybe they don't need a money coach. And maybe that's my problem. I know they need what I have to offer, but it is not one of those conscious things. And so I know I have to speak to what they really want, what they think they need. And so how do I connect what I absolutely know they need and would pay for if they knew that they needed it, or if they knew that they wanted it? Mm-hmm. It could be a money-making niche, like you were talking about. Mm-hmm. So shift me from that to where you would have me go, or how you might coach somebody around that.
Yeah. So this is interesting. And if I get off track, Jill, please bring me back to the question that you asked me.
Okay. Because I kind of took a long time to ask that question.
Yeah. Because when you sell coaching, and I tell my clients this when they're picking their niche, sometimes it's like, but there's a scary feeling, but I want to coach them on this. And I always say, like, you don't actually know what you need coaching on until you get there. And I think that's
Right.
what you're saying, Jill, is like, if you could get them to understand what they really needed the coaching for, they would pay for it, but they don't understand that. So if your marketing is telling them that, like, you have to pick the thing that somebody's bleeding over. So for you, for example, what does somebody want with money?
They want to feel secure. They want to feel that they're capable not only of, making money as well as managing money, because a lot of them feel like they're not good with money. So even if they make it, maybe they don't have a lot of confidence that they can manage it. Also, they're not sure they want to be somebody who makes a lot of money. They think they do, but they're also afraid of it or intimidated by it.
This is so interesting. Oh my gosh, Jill, this podcast could be so long because this is another thing that I think women need to do. If they had a really big why, and so many of the women that we work with are not paying the mortgage payment. And I always say this, if you're not paying the mortgage payment, you better figure out what is going to keep you in your chair at your desk making your thing.
Yeah.
It better be something that's really motivating to you, because it's really easy to not do the hard stuff in a business. So you're talking about really a deep why that they have to discover when somebody says they don't want to make a lot of money. And I know from a church point of view, sometimes too, there's this mixed up thing like, I already have an abundant life. I already have so much. And so, maybe that person needs to tie it to causes that they're going to support instead of like feeling greedy themselves, if that's the experience that they have. But for certainly discovering a why. But let me take you back. You said people want to make more and they want to be good with money. Mm-hmm. So the opposite of that is they don't know how to make more and they aren't good with their money. Mm-hmm. That's really the problem, right?
Yes.
So the problem needs to be, I call it poking at the problem. We want to really show if they're not good with money and they don't know how to make more money, or they kind of hit a ceiling, what else happens in their life because they're not good with money or they can't make enough money?
For my ideal clients, they feel like they're limited in what they can do if they're relying on their husband. So they hit this place where they can't do what they want because they don't want to ask their husband for the money, because they don't feel like either they don't feel like they deserve it, or they're not bringing in enough to justify, spending their family's money, that type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. That's a big problem. So it's like, make money so you can, what is it? A lot of us that get into coaching, by the way, like you're having this awesome retreat come up, we want to build our business, and maybe it's not necessarily to support the household. I always tell people, like, figure out a dream trip to take your family on or your husband on or whatever. Make that your goal, that out of your coaching money, you're going to generate enough that you will pay for the trip. Like, I'm going to pay for all of it, the whole thing. That can be a goal, but also how about just make enough money so you can do the things that you want to do in your business?
Yeah.
Right. So that you don't have to say, I want to go to this retreat and explain yourself. And I'm sure that there's a little bit of shame sometimes that goes with that, because it's like, I've already paid for coaching and I've already done this. I don't want to ask for anything else. So yeah. So make money to do the things that you want to do
in your business. I like that. Yeah.
When you write your copy, Jill, the pain points that you want to point out then are, you do feel guilty asking your husband to fund another one of your quote projects. You want to sort of do a model and figure out what is the feelings. There's some shame. Then I'm sure there's a little bit of like, he's going to think I didn't make any money yet in my business. And of course, they don't always understand what it takes to build a business. Unfortunately, you don't know what it takes to build a business when you start.
Make them feel inadequate.
Yeah. So those are the things that you want to point out to them. I know that sounds terrible, but you want to say you want to make more money because deep down, you feel guilty going to your husband and asking for more money, right? Yeah. You want to, and you think you deserve it, and you do deserve it, but you feel ashamed. Like, he's going to ask me if I made any money, or my sister-in-law is going to ask me, how's your coaching? this.
Have you signed any clients
Yes. Have you
lately? Or
signed any?
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, don't ask me that question. So that really would be an excellent thing for you to explore, because not everybody, and I think a large percentage of coaches, they would be super content with making 30, 40, $50,000. Like they would be singing like crazy, so happy. Like I want to have 5 clients and that would be awesome. And then I want to generate some money so I can go to the mastermind, so I can go to Jill's retreat, so I could organize something with my friends and I don't have to go ask for it. Like
Yeah.
that would be beautiful. Come work with me. I'm going to help you make more money in an easy way. Like it doesn't have to be hard,
Yeah,
right?
I
It can be
agree.
an easy way. You don't have to be a sold out coach. I always, I in my marketing, I say, I hate to use the word booked up or sold out, because what is that to everybody? Really, I want to give people permission to have 3 clients. It's totally okay.
Yeah.
Like that's perfect. That might
Yeah.
be exactly right for you. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I would get to the make money with that part. When it comes to good with money, how is the good with money a problem? If we're talking about mostly couples, husbands and wives, how is the good money a problem for them in their marriage, or a problem for them with their personal finances?
Yeah, I think it's that they feel shame around the
Mhm.
way that they might have handled money in the past,
Yep.
or even the fact that they haven't handled money. Maybe a lot of times that comes up. Like if they don't do things with their money that they think they should have, it really does. Yeah, it all comes down to the shoulds. I should have done this differently. I should be different. I should not, I shouldn't have spent money on that, or I shouldn't spend money on things that I don't need. Lots of shame around how they have handled money, or maybe how they've ignored money.
So that's what you want to talk about. And Jill, now I want to go review your website for you, but that is what you want to talk about, is like, I'm going to help you be good with money so you never have to say again, I should have. So
Mhm.
you never have to have that sick feeling of shame. Like, what in the world did I just do? So that you can be, I'm going to empower you so we can drop all the guilt that you have from whatever was, because we can't change the was, so that you won't face a should again. Right. So let me help you make some more money to be able to have the freedom to do what you want to do. That's the positive part. So yeah, unfortunately, when you sell coaching, and I'm not criticizing, I'm not directing you, but you
No,
asked
no,
it
no.
just
You're
for
I'm
everybody listening.
totally open to
Yeah,
whatever you have
you
that
have to
will help
really,
people.
yeah, expose the problem. Like the
Yeah.
problem really is here, is I want it to be uncomfortable when somebody lands on your website, and I want them to say, like, oh my God, she really does get it. She's right. I do feel this sick feeling in my stomach when I so desperately want to do the retreat that Jill's doing in September, but I know I have to figure out a way to go ask my husband. And I know he's going to ask me that question. Do you have a client yet? Let me help you make enough money so that you can do those things, and you can go in and say, instead of asking, you can go in and say, guess what? I'm going to Jill's retreat, and you can be excited and delighted. And also show up at your retreat feeling delighted about being there because they took themselves there.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Instead of
love
like,
it.
I've got to get something out of this. I have a client who's in the reinvention thing, and she's like, oh my gosh, I told my husband this was the next thing that was going to get me reinvented. And it's still not, like, she's still looking, she's somebody who's looking for the how
To
to
the
do.
yeah,
And
to
so she just
looking
hired
for
me.
the
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. So she just hired me. Like, I still don't have actually my business built, the marketing, any of that. I thought the reinvention would be the answer. So yeah, I would really poke around on those problems. And then the second part I'll leave you with is, after you stir up all the problems, the shame over not being good with money, over all the shoulds, that's like a heavy backpack on their back that they're carrying around, and about why they want to make their own money. Then you want to talk about what I call over the rainbow, the pot of gold. This is what it could be like. You could get on a plane to go to Nashville, and you could be giddy, delighted with yourself because you bought your own plane ticket and paid for it. And you know that you can go to that retreat, and you know you can order a spa service, and you don't have to feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
You want to paint the picture of how exciting it would be to go in and not have to ask your husband for money to support your business. If that's the case, I know we're drilling down
Yeah.
on that one, but
Yeah. Yeah. Just an example. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. That was pretty awesome.
Well, hopefully somebody
So
else learned
clear.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee you there's somebody out there scribbling away going, "Oh my gosh, I see it now." Which is fantastic.
We
Go
just
ahead.
don't see our own problems. That's why coaching is so valuable.
Yeah.
Somebody else has to give you the awareness. And that's all I'm saying in that copy, by the way, for is you give them the awareness that they can't put into words.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, I'll be quiet now.
No, that's good. That's awesome. And this is exactly what you do in your business building boutique, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking about that. I work with coaches who, I used to say just new coaches, and now I really want to say coaches in the early stages of their business because sometimes I get somebody that's been certified 3 years and they still haven't done anything. Or maybe they've done a little bit and they've worked with other coaches and they kind of have some things set up, but they really just don't know what to do next. So
Yeah.
I work with coaches anywhere from deciding on the niche, like we're talking about, to I love to get this copy piece, the words that you say really figured out. We talked about the branding piece. Ultimately, though, all of that leads to learning how to market your business and put yourself in front of people to be seen. Because if you're not seen, and the biggest problem with being seen is most people don't know what to say. So if we figure out that what to say part in the beginning and we get their branding pretty, then they know how to represent themselves. And it's like fuel for all the rest. Then we can talk
Yeah.
about building email lists and that kind of stuff. So all of that is what we do. And of course, I encourage people, let's do a beta launch right away. I'll help you figure out. And by the way, a launch to your business could be for private coaching, not just group coaching. I think we think
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do a launch for group coaching, but you could launch for private coaching sessions too. So,
Yeah.
but to get all those pieces, and I love it when people say, I need to make money right now. Let's
Yeah.
figure out how to do that at the same time as building the business. So,
Okay. So you address the short-term revenue piece and building the long-term revenue stream.
yeah, definitely. Definitely. You always have to have a person who's going to buy today, and that's the most fun ever when somebody finds you and they because you had yourself out there, that's the part I have to help you do. People buy coaching today from you that met you on the same day. They buy coaching, they watch you and they're watching us, Jill, right now. End of July, this is being aired. They're watching or something about that time. They're thinking like, I'm going to hire Jill once fall comes. So they're watching you and they're going to buy just a little bit later. And then there's going to be people that are going to watch you for a year and they're thinking like whatever it is you coach on, like I know how to do keto, I can finally lose the weight, or I know how to improve my marriage with my husband, or I know how to, they're watching, but they're trying to figure out how to do it themselves. And one day they'll have the thought, I can't do it, and they'll remember you.
Yeah, that's really good because I just had a session with one of my clients yesterday, and one of the wins that she brought to the call was somebody randomly reached out to me. I was like, yeah, it wasn't random.
That's right. It's
It's
not
never
random.
random.
No.
Somebody randomly reached out to me or reached out to me out of the blue. I don't even know where she came from. And she wanted to do a consult and she wants to work with me. And I was like, yes, that is exactly what we're doing. We're planting those seeds, we're getting those plants in the ground that we're going to harvest at some point. We don't have to know when we're going to harvest them.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jill. Yeah, you got to cultivate the ground. It
Yeah.
has to be watered. You have to be patient. Businesses are not built in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't.
You could get a client today, but
Yeah.
businesses are not built in a day.
Right. Yeah. So, what else do you want people to know about you, about Business Building Boutique, about, oh, and you have a podcast also called Business Building Boutique. So, that's something that people can go check out. I've listened to several episodes, awesome content, awesome information, just
Thank
wonderful. And you have monthly workshops too, don't you?
you. I have a lot. Remember that Debbie does a lot thing? I do have a lot. I want to say to you that if you will follow me, I do have these free workshops and I'm not an arm twister. I sell coaching and everybody knows it, but you can come to my workshops and I teach you an entire solution. So if you need to learn how to do like an opt-in for your email, let's say, you'll learn the whole thing start to finish. I might try to sell you coaching at the end or set or tell you. And I don't even like to use the word try because really we can all decide. I'll tell you about what I have to offer and then you can decide. But most of my workshops, that's maybe one in every four. Most of my workshops are just workshops where I so believe, Jill, and I know you do too. If I do good in the world, and I could get emotional, and I help people, that it will come back to me. And what's meant for me will be for me, and what's meant for you will be for you. So if you need help with your business, just get in my world. Yes, I'm selling coaching, but get in my world and I'll help you whether you buy coaching from me or not. So anyway,
It's the
thank you.
truth. I can attest to that.
It does. Just go through your business and do what's right, you guys, and you'll be rewarded for that.
Yeah. And that's why I love having these types of conversations with other coaches that have similar values to mine. And I know similar values to so many of the coaches in our community.
Yeah.
Who really do. That's their biggest why, is they just want to do good in the world. And they want to make some money doing it. So
yeah, you can do good in the world, ladies, but you need to get with Jill and make some money, because doing this good in the world costs money.
Yeah.
It costs money to be in business. It costs money to educate yourself. It costs money to market yourself. It doesn't cost a lot. I don't have people running paid Facebook ads until they're at $100,000. So it doesn't cost a lot, but still you have to invest in yourself.
Yeah. So true. Well, this has been fantastic. I can't wait to do this again. I love having these conversations with you. So I really appreciate your time today. I really appreciate all your wisdom and insight and your help with my copy.
Well, Jill, you're a delight too. Thank you for having me. We had the opportunity to have dinner recently together, and it was so nice. So thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yeah. And thanks for buying me dinner.
You're welcome.
I appreciate all you're doing in the coaching industry and helping coaches build their business so that they can do their big, important work in the world.
Thank you, Jill. And back at you. Get people making money and get people eliminating the shame around whatever they did in the past, because the past can't be fixed, right?
Right. The past is the past. Let's move forward.
Right.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Jill. Bye-bye. That's it. Thanks for listening. Now it's up to you. Put what you learned today into action. Do what you need to be seen and then hired by clients in your niche. And if you're ready to stop wasting your precious time and get your business finally booked up, you're invited to join me in the Business Building Boutique for New Life Coaches, where you will learn everything you need to be a coach with plenty of paid clients. All right. Have an amazing week. Until next time. Bye-bye.